views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page TV show. Today's my guest on Zoom is the Reverend Dr. Cory Rajek.
Rajek, yep.
Rajek. He's the Executive Director of LCMS, Office of International Mission.
It's a mouthful.
You think? Welcome to my show. Many blessings to you, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Patty. And it's good to be here and be able to talk to you about myself and about what I do on behalf of International Mission.
Yeah, that sounds very intriguing. So you were born where?
So I was born in a small town in northern Wisconsin, north central Wisconsin. The town is called Merrill, just under 10,000 people. I was raised in a Lutheran Church Missouri Synod home, baptized there, and my mom was always Missouri Synod Lutheran from little on as a child. My dad was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, actually went to seminary, Catholic seminary, and then decided that he needed some time to really think about it because obviously being a priest would be quite a commitment, considering that priests can't get married. And so my dad, the Monsignor at the time, told him that he would be disobeying God if he didn't come back. So he held on to that guilt up until the day he died. That he brought that up as he was ill and would die a few days later. But it was an opportunity for me to reassure him of the gospel and how God took out punishment upon his son Jesus Christ, and therefore doesn't punish us because of the sacrifice Christ has already endured on the cross. So my dad ended up after my brother was born. I'm the youngest. After my brother was born, my dad said, I'm tired of arguing between what Lutherans believe and what Catholics believe with my mom. And he went to my mom's pastor and said, can you tell me what Lutherans believe? And the pastor said, yeah, absolutely. We've got a catechism class coming up, and you can come and sit in on it, and you don't have to join, but you will learn what the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod believes, teaches, and confesses. And so my dad attended class, and when it was all done, he told the pastor, he said, "This is what I believe. I want to join." And so he ended up joining my mom's church, and the rest, I guess you say, is history. He was very involved in the church, going back and forth between being an elder and the president of the congregation.
Wow.
Up until the day he died in 2012.
More power to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
My dad was green and my mom was orange.
Mm.
Just like you, eh? My mother was Lutheran. She joined my father's Roman Catholic, and they didn't like her there because she was Protestant, and they sort of ignored her.
I resonate with that. That was a very that was the same in my family. In fact, at the time in Wisconsin, um, because my mom and dad were too young, they needed parental signatures,
Mhm.
and my dad's parents said they would never sign because they would not allow their son, who was supposed to be a priest, uh, they would not allow him marry a Lutheran girl. So they ended up going up to Michigan, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and ended up getting married in front of a justice of the peace. It kind of worked out because my parents, first of all, they said it would never last. But then on their 40th wedding anniversary, I said to my brother and sister, I said, I'm a pastor, because my mom, one of her great regrets was never to have a church ceremony. And I said, I'm a pastor. I can do a church blessing. And so we talked to my pastor, their pastor, and he said, absolutely, you can use the church. And so I presided over the blessing, and my brother stood up and my sister stood up, and our families. And we had a celebration. And at first, us kids were going to pay for it all. And then my dad, we kept the secret as long as we could, before my dad started catching on and saying, "What's going on here? Why are you guys asking me all these questions? What do you guys have up your sleeve?" And then so then we told him. He said, "No," he goes, "I appreciate your willingness to pay for it." He said, "But I'm going to pay for it because I'm going to give your mom the wedding she never had." And so he ended up, she had on her wedding ring. They started out with absolutely nothing. He worked at a car wash when they got married, and she wasn't employed, and they lived with my great grandfather in a trailer house. That's where they started out. And so he bought the ring he bought her was what he could afford. And what had
To that
happened,
day.
well, what had happened was the diamond had fallen out. She had lost the diamond
Oh
in the
no.
ring. So she was all upset about it. Well, he ended up buying her a new ring, and they ended up having the blessing, and we invited all of our family, and my dad's mom and dad, my grandparents, they went, and they enjoyed it, and they celebrated with us. So all those years, it was a lot of turmoil, a lot of tension in my family, but at the end, they accepted it, and it took a long time, many, many, many years. But they did accept it towards the end, and yeah, and so I grew up in Merrill, Wisconsin, and my parents are both from Merrill, Wisconsin.
So what was your first job? Did you go right into St. Louis Theological Seminary?
No, yeah, you could say that I went to school all the way through, but I held like jobs, for summer work and stuff like that. And my dad had a part-time logging business, Rajek Forest Products in northern Wisconsin. And he would sell the wood to paper mills at the time. Now most of the paper mills have gone out of business, but he would sell it to paper mills, and I would work as a very young at a very young age. I think I started probably about 8 or 9 years old,
Wow.
working out in the woods. And my dad always told me, he said, there are two ways you can earn a living: with your brain or your brawn. And he said, you can choose which one you want. But he said, that's the way you make money. And I said, well, Dad, I think I'm going to use my brain. So I went on to school, went to Concordia University, Wisconsin, after graduating high school. Went to
Mm,
Concordia University, Wisconsin.
yeah.
Graduated with a degree in pastoral ministry and theological language, which was Greek, Hebrew, and German. And then went on to seminary.
Mhm.
Then graduated with my Master's of Divinity. Started out in Iowa as a pastor. While in Iowa, I met my wife.
Ah,
She was a member actually of one of my best friends. He was a year ahead of me. He had a call to southern Wisconsin, the Milwaukee area, and he was her pastor. And so
mm,
I was visiting him, and that's where I met my wife at his church. And and so then after that, after then we got married in Milwaukee, and then she came in and we lived in Iowa for a few years where I served my first parish. It was a dual parish.
oh, I mean, two churches blending.
Yeah, yeah. So two churches, one in Millersburg, Iowa, and the other one in Deep River, Iowa.
Mm,
The Millersburg congregation has since closed. Deep
sorry.
River, last time I checked, they had like one service a month. They were very small congregations.
Do you find the church now, uh, more people coming in to be pastors and deaconesses and stuff? Or do you see a decline in how do you see a decline at all over the
Yeah, I think there was a time where there was a worrisome decline in men studying for the pastoral office and women going into the diaconal offices. Um, from what I hear, at least St. Louis, and I haven't heard any numbers from Fort Wayne yet, but in St. Louis, there are well over 100 new students coming in this fall. I think it's right around 113, 116, something like that, which is amazing. I mean, that's getting up to what my class was back in the late 90s when I went through seminary. What was that?
back in the day?
Back in the day, yes. Yes. So that was yeah, so that's good news. That's very good news. But yeah, so I served in Iowa just for a few years. We had two dual parish, and we went from 35 members on average in Millersburg and 30 in Deep River. And we had about between 70 and 75 on average in worship. When I left, I was only there for about 3 years. But we had our first baptism
Hmm?
in Deep River in many years. And it was the first baptism that I was ever a part of as a pastor. And I had the privilege of baptizing a father and a son. So it was quite remarkable. He was not didn't really belong to a church, but his wife attended on and off one of my churches. But he ended up having some health issues and was hospitalized.
Mm.
And so I drove an hour and a half up to visit him in the hospital and to pray with him and to do a devotion with him. And I saw him several times. When he got healthy and got back again, he said that he wanted to take catechesis classes and wanted to join. And so we went through catechesis classes, and in the meantime, his wife was she delivered their son, and so I was able to baptize both father and son on the same Sunday. So it was a real special event.
How many Lutheran churches are there around the world so far? You know?
I don't have a number on that. There are quite a few of them. We've got a number of partners in the Eurasia region where I served. But we not only have the Eurasia region, but we have Latin America, Caribbean. We have Africa, we have Asia. So, just in Eurasia, we have 12 or so partner churches that we partner with, and we work in approximately 24 countries just in Eurasia alone. That's not even talking about the other three other regions that we serve. So there are a number of different churches, number of Lutheran churches that we partner with around the world.
You partner with anyone in Canada?
In Canada, yeah. Well, Canada, started out, the Lutheran Church Canada started out as a district of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod.
Right.
And then they became independent.
Uh-huh.
And I've just recently been in contact with their president and their mission team, their mission guys, and they want some help reaching out to the Inuit people
Up north.
in northern Canada. Yeah. So yeah, we will be most likely partnering with them. I've got a meeting coming up with the Board for International Mission here on Thursday, and so we're going to be talking about that. How do we support the Lutheran Church Canada?
Yeah, we need you there. Boy, do we need you there.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do, not only in Canada but around the world. But yeah, most definitely.
And here, kiddo.
Yeah, absolutely.
The States really needs to do. You're so thin out because you need it all over the world. So, yeah. So how recruiting new pastors to come in to study, missionaries, how do you get them involved? By word of mouth or?
Yeah, a lot of it is word of mouth, but we do have a full-time recruiter. His name is Mark Rady. He was a pastor serving. Actually, he was a classmate of mine at seminary, and was an instructor at one of our overseas seminaries, and then he decided that he was going to end service, and we called him to be our recruiter. So that's what he works full-time recruiting for us. And then he also has an associate that he mainly, because he's a pastor, he focuses mainly on recruiting pastors. And then his associate, Ariana, she was a missionary as well, and she mainly focuses in on recruiting laity for the mission field. So both of them work, putting countless hours recruiting, traveling to. I know Mark travels to the seminaries, to the Concordias. Ariana travels to the Concordias as well, and they do congregations and districts. So yeah, they got a lot of work ahead of them.
So a mission is what?
It's kind of an interesting story, I think. I was serving in South Dakota at this large congregation. I thought I was going to stay there forever until I retired. They were very, very kind to me, very good to me, very gracious to me. And out of the blue, I got a phone call from the then executive director for the Office of International Mission, the position I hold right now. Right. He called me and he said, Cory, he said, I just want to let you know that your name was given to me as a possible candidate for international mission. And he said, I've got 2 questions for you. And I said, okay. I was a little bit hesitant, but I said, okay. And he said, First question is, do you have a PhD? And I said, yes, I do. He said, good. And then he said, second question is, would you ever consider a call? And I said, well, as I was taught, I would consider any call the Lord would send my way. He said, good. Well, let me tell you about the work we're doing in Riga, Latvia. And basically, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, in partnership with the Lutheran Church in Latvia,
Right.
started a seminary, and the Latvians had their Latvian speaking seminary,
Mhm.
and we were starting an English speaking seminary. Oh, pardon me. So the reason for that is because English is kind of the universal language. And we thought that this would be an opportunity for us, since so many people speak English, that
Right.
we could teach theology and train pastors in English. And then they could then be pastors and church planters in their native communities. And so that was the thought. And we thought maybe we might get 4 or 5 guys coming to the seminary.
Mhm.
Well, we ran a beta program, just to add a couple classes. We thought, just to see gauge what kind of interest there was. And we had 45 guys sign up for the class.
Mm,
And we're like, wow,
that's
um,
cool.
that's incredible. And so they're taking this class not for credit, because we didn't have anything to offer them, but just for knowledge. And a number of them stuck around. And now, of course, it dipped a little bit, but we got a sizable seminary. I'm told now we're going to be graduating our first cohort. Some guys fell off,
Mm,
as time went on, the commitment got too much for them.
mm.
But they ended up. We ended up going to be graduating our first cohort, and these guys are going to be pastors. We got guys that are living in Romania who will be graduating from our program. We have one living in Istanbul, Turkey. We have 3 of them in Pakistan,
Mm.
and another 3 in Italy. And so we're going to be starting church plants and supporting them basically all over the world. This is the first cohort. We have some from Africa also that were in that first cohort as well. These
Wow.
were a lot of these students I had as students when I taught there, because that was initially why I was recruited, was to teach in the seminary, our regional seminary there.
Ah,
I didn't teach real long before I was appointed to be associate regional director and then regional director.
what are your duties as a executive director?
So I'm responsible for the direction of OIM. I'm responsible for implementing the policies of the Board for International Mission. I'm responsible for implementing the emphases that the convention, synod and convention, has given us. There's 7 mission emphases that I focus in on. There are I oversee all of our missionaries, myself and my staff, but ultimately I'm the one that is answerable for everything. I'm responsible for hiring a reliable staff who can get jobs done. So I'm involved a lot in interviews and in the hiring process, especially in OIM.
Human resources, you mean?
Yeah, human resources has a role in it as well, but because I'm in the executive level, I also have a major say in who gets hired
And who gets hired?
and called into these positions. And I also am kind of the advocate for our missionaries here in the States. So, I'm going to not only going to places like like Fort Wayne, Ascension, and preaching and talking about the work that OIM is doing. But I also go visit LWML groups and talk to them about the work that we're doing internationally. I I sit on several boards because of my position. Let's see. Recently I've been to Germany and Dominican Republic and India. That was just this last fall,
Right.
and then kind of slowed down a little bit around Thanksgiving and then December. But now it'll ramp up again. I'll be going back to the Dominican Republic. I have to give a theological paper for our district presidents who will be down there for a conference. And then I'll be going to Africa for the visit our missionaries in Africa. And then I will be, let's see, where will I be going after that? I know I'm going to Brazil later on this summer. So it's a lot of traveling, but a lot of decisions, a lot of meetings. There's a lot of meetings involved in this.
Is Fort Wayne Seminary a branch of St. Louis?
So the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod has two seminaries that train pastors and deaconesses. One in St. Louis, in Clayton, Missouri. The other is Fort Wayne, and these are the two centers that train pastors and deaconesses for the church.
For the whole country?
Yes, for the whole country. Yes.
They call this the city of churches. I believe it.
Yeah. Yep.
Ciao. Thank you, Cory.
Well, thank you, Patty, for the opportunity to share a little bit about myself and about what the work that we do in OIM. It's very important work, and we always are asking for people to pray for us and to encourage our missionaries when they see it. I know that Pastor Geyer has missionaries coming in, every year.
Yeah.
And to talk about their work. So, continued support and prayer for them is really what we're looking for and what they need the most. So
you find a lot of people in Lutheran churches doing missionary work. Do you get a lot of recruits from different congregations? That's a final kind of question.
Yeah, well, no, it's true. We do get recruits. We could always use more. Our full-time missionary, not including the families, although the families do have a major role in the success of missionaries. But our full-time called missionaries number about 94, and we have a capacity right now with our staff. Before we need to add on staff, we have a capacity of around 150. So we could add another 56 missionaries before we need to really start seriously adding staff. So we're always looking for missionaries. Obviously, the more missionaries we have, the greater the impact we have on the world. And so we continue to pray that the Lord would continue to send missionaries into the harvest field to proclaim the gospel, to spread the gospel, to plant Lutheran churches, and to show mercy.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Patty. It's a pleasure, and I pray God's blessings upon you and everything that you do. And I look forward to maybe seeing you again, probably next year at Symposia time.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us all.
rest of